It's exciting to be featuring this inventory piece with you today. And thanks very much for taking time out of your days to be here. We appreciate that, and hopefully this will be insightful for you. I might just note just at the top here that this is the very first cut of our inventory product. Like all things at Fresho, we rely on our user feedback. We've done quite a bit of beta testing on it already prior to its release. But we do rely on your feedback to help us improve. We will continually iterate and improve the functionality of it. But I just want to make it clear that it is sort of the first version. And pleased to report that we have suppliers already using it and getting a lot of success and benefit from it. So that's satisfying for us. And we've got a backlog of suppliers that are waiting to be set up to start using too. So that's positive, but we know in time that it will improve, like all things. But it's good that we're able to release it now and obviously share it with you today. And the way it'll work today is I'll run through a number of slides just to give you a bit of context as to why we're here. Then it'll be followed, as Audrey mentioned, by a fairly high-level walkthrough. That will just give you a bit of a feel for how it's configured now and the way it will work. It won't be by any means a deep dive. It'll just be a matter of sort of showing you how it looks. It won't be that full-blown demo. But what I would encourage is if there are questions, if there is interest in it, just to reach out to us after this webinar and we can arrange time to go through it in a bit more detail with you. Okay, so let's kick off. So you should be able to see that screen. Hopefully this webinar is working okay. Let's start with the problem and why we're here. I think that's critical. So setting the scene, most of you on this webinar will be familiar with Fresho in some shape or form. You may be existing suppliers. You may be a prospective supplier that's looked at implementing our software. But just for context, for the last decade or so, we've been building software for the food industry, namely for food distributors, not for any other industry or sector. And over that time, we've all been part of a massive amount of change and advancement in business technology. And all that change has been driven by demands from businesses like yours. And that, I guess, is one of the reasons we're here today, is because we're responding to that demand. Your business today compared to your business 10 years ago is vastly different. Your needs are different. You have to be much more intelligent as a business than you did a decade ago. Margins are thinner. Staffing is harder. We've all just lived through a pandemic. Costs have gone through the roof. And as a result, rightly, businesses need more insight. Businesses need to understand more about the day-to-day. And so a big reason we embarked on building this inventory function was largely due to the feedback we've had from suppliers and just looking at the landscape and understanding that there's a need for this, which we'll get into a little bit later. The challenges that are there in the market, identifying, I guess, that there is a simpler way to solve this problem, which is critical in this market. So today we see businesses that are just sick and tired of manual tasks. They're tired of making mistakes, and for good reason, because the business environment we're in is far less forgiving. We see often suppliers that don't actually have any stock-taking procedure in their business, or if they do, it's quite ad lib. We see suppliers that are having big problems with managing their cost prices and where that lives. And often we see businesses that ask the question, particularly in fresh food, whether inventory actually works. With all the complexities around fresh food and the in-out nature of it, whether it's worth keeping inventory or whether it's a waste of time. So I guess in our workings and research and trying to understand it, and having come from being distributors ourselves, we're in a pretty good position to critique this topic and I suppose put our supplier's hat on and try and understand, firstly, why does this problem exist? Why is there this sort of resistance, or why isn't it easy for suppliers to manage inventory? And secondly, how can we solve that? And what's the best way that we can implement, a better experience for suppliers? You'll see on the screen now that a number of software providers featured. Many of these are household names. However, there is some commonality between them. And let me just preface by saying these are all brilliant software pieces in their own right. There's no doubt about that. But none of them are fresh food specific. None of these tools have been built with fresh food in mind and fresh food distribution. That they're usually built by accountants or specialists that have no experience at all in food distribution. And therefore, it's not reasonable to expect these generic tools to capture all of this nuance that goes into being a food distributor. On the other hand, of course, there are customized software availability for businesses that want to specifically build out a system, but again, they're quite challenging to navigate. Unless they're being updated all the time and modernized, they're not really intuitive. They're quite clunky, you might say. And often they come with lots of clicks and lots of pages. So the user experience isn't great. So I guess to round this slide off, what we take from just looking at the market and understanding where this problem comes from is that suppliers perhaps aren't using the right tools, and that's causing a lot of the problems. As we always say, the software has to be simple and easy to use. It has to be all in one place, otherwise people won't use it or they'll have trouble using it. So what's the impact right now on businesses? And obviously, if stock management isn't handled correctly, it can lead to problems. Speculation on how much stock is needed for sales. How does a supplier best manage their waste or minimize that waste component? Cost price discrepancies. So that all starts with your buying costs, which of course leads to margins on your products, and that no doubt has an effect on your bottom line if it's not managed correctly. A big thing we see is overselling of products and all the on costs that go with that. From substituting, second drops, and that takes time out of your day, communicating with suppliers, communicating with customers. That's a big chunk of time and a lot of inefficiency wrapped up in that. With that comes a really elongated paper trail. And again, that can be unruly, and managing all these Excel spreadsheets can be really cumbersome. One cell can be out and it causes problems for the rest of the sheet. And again, it just causes pain and unnecessary stress for the business. And one that we see a lot is this key person risk. So often there's one person in a business that holds the keys to managing all things inventory. I'm sure many of you on this call will relate to that. And that's difficult because if that person leaves the business or goes on holiday or needs to train someone new coming into the business, if the system's not right and if it's cumbersome, as I mentioned before, that can cause problems and again, unnecessary stress. So all of this analysis and research led us to make the decision to build the feature so that we could introduce and create a much easier way so we could provide everything in one place and effectively merge, if you like, both sides. So the supplier sales side with the supplier buy side and cost prices, and the two effectively become interlinked and aligned so that that it is a lot easier and transparent for a business owner and for people in the business. What we'll do now is we'll take you through a little overview on how it looks. As I said before, we won't deep dive into the demo. I'm sorry, I'm just seeing on the right of my screen there's some notes, but I'll just finish off here. We won't deep dive into a demo. That would be for later. So I urge you to get in touch if you wanted to go through it and take a sort of a deeper look at it. Will, who's on the call, is going to take us through a few slides in Fresho. It will actually be inside of Fresho, so he can just show you the configuration as it stands now, and then following that, we'll open up for some questions. So Will, I'll hand to you to share your screen.
Sharing now. If you unshare your screen, I believe it should show up. Yeah, there we go. Do you want to kick us off with just this first page, Nick?
Yeah, so just important to note, and for those of you that that are already on Fresho, you'll know this will be all familiar to you, but you'll recognise this drop down. In particular, I just wanted to call out the data mode, and hopefully you're all using it. It's a great feature. We've had so much positive response from data mode, and it just gives again that insight that I'm talking about. Obviously, this session is not about data mode, but I wanted to call out that data mode is even more enhanced with the introduction in inventory, because you can track purchases in data mode. You can see your purchases by product, by supplier, etc. So that's a sort of an added benefit, and it goes a long way to what I was saying before about tying the system together and creating, you know, both sides working together. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. So yeah, one thing you might not be used to, if you've seen this screen before, if you're an existing client or if you're a new client, hopefully you've had some sort of a demo. This inventory mode is the new feature that we've built. So when within inventory mode, I'll take you to sort of our first mappings screen, and so this allows you to set a base unit. So in this example, I've put the Apples Pink Lady box as the base unit. And then you can have some child mappings to that base unit. And in terms of the mapping process, as Nick mentioned, we're at the very beginning of this product. And right now we allow for just simple mappings. So that's like in the example of these apples, we've got 60 to 1. Or 12 to 1 in the kilo, and then those conversions or those fractions will then convert across the cost prices. So it'll automatically work out those cost prices, and it'll also automatically work out the closing stock based on that fraction. Once you've part of that is the setup where you do all your mappings, and once you've set your mappings, you can sort of forget about it, because the system will do all those conversions in the background, and all these everything I'm showing from here out works based on those conversions. So the first screen I'll show you is our stock take screen. So within the stock take screen, we show you a closing stock. So that's what we, as you see predicted. That's what we think that you are going to have on hand at the today, like when you're doing your stock take, and then you can go in and fill in what you've actually got on stock. So you can go in, put whatever there is actually in stock at the moment, and you can do this stock variance report, which will then be able to say what the difference is between what your closing stock was and what your stock take actually is, and that helps you to see if there's any wastage or if there's something going wrong with the with whatever is happening there, why you might have more or less stock compared to what was predicted. Within this screen, it also allows you to filter to different product groups, and that means you can have different people stock taking different areas, so multiple people can be on this screen doing that. And you can see we allow for negative stock. There's no stopping something going into negative, so that works quite well. And the other thing is, if you choose not to do a stock take, you can just leave it blank, and then we'll use this predicted figure to work out your stock take if you don't want to be doing a stock take every day. Finally, one difference around this screen is that we don't make you close off your operations to do your stock take. Some systems make you do a full closure of sales and purchases to do your stock take. This can happen at any point in time, and it can then be updated throughout the day as well if need be. So there's no issues with that. Once you've done that stock take, bring you to the buy report. So the buy report, this is a screen that can be used to help you with your buying. You can see the first sort of thing here is past sales. This was actually a feature only released hours ago, so very much getting a first look at this. So this past sales, you're able to pick between a date range. So you can do any sort of date range, be it a single day, a month, a week, and then see all the sales made for that product mapping within that date range. So this includes any eaches sold, any kilos sold, anything within that mapping across that date range. You can see what you've currently got in stock. You can see if you've got any sales orders for today. So your customers are placing orders today, what your purchase orders you've got already in the system. So this is stuff that you expect to come in, and then we do a closing stock figure. So you can select a date in the future around this, and we do those calculations around future dates as well. It's exportable as a CSV or printable as PDF. And yeah, so that can really help you with your buying. The other way you can do your buying, I might actually go out here, create a new buying list, is through this buying list feature. So this buying list feature is similar to that buy report. You can see again, we've got the current stock and closing stock, and we'll soon be showing that sales history on this page as well. And this then allows you to actually do your buying through Fresho. So we can say, I want 4 here, I want 3 there, I want 10 here. And you can see as I start to fill these out, it will automatically allocate supplies. And that's based off my past purchases. It allows for you to split between two different suppliers. And I can also actually add a note here. So I might add fresh, please. So that's a specific note just to that supplier, and not to any other supplier. Once you've done all your buying, so again, filterable by different product groups or searchable, and then you can go to your cart, check everything out, and check out. And that's going to send off all your purchase orders to all your different suppliers with that one click. Once you've done all that purchasing, you'll then be able to go in, reconcile, say what you've actually received, what lines you, or how much you received each line, what was the price of each line, and then once that's come through, we'll then be able to automatically work out what your cost price is. So we'll calculate that cost price. We'll fill in this cost price field on your sell side automatically. If you're using margin-based pricing, that will automatically update your price up here. If you're using level prices, it's going to automatically update your margin, and then you're going to be able to see and filter down to what products have maybe a negative margin or have a low margin. So that's really the crux of inventory as it is right now, and I think I'll hand over back to Nick. Looks like we've got a few questions coming through.
Yep, I'll just hop in there as well. Thanks, Will, for that. A few people joined just after we kicked off, so if you've got any questions, the button is at the bottom right. For any questions that we don't get round to today, we'll still be able to answer them after this session. And we're also recording the event, so we'll send that once it's over. But please send your questions through as you feel like. Over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Audrey. Thanks, Will. We have got a number of questions that we will kick off with. So Suzanne asked, first up, I don't have access to inventory mode. And Suzanne, just to answer that one, once you are set up with inventory, then that's when that'll feature in that drop down. But right now, because it's not set up for you, that's why you're not seeing it in the drop down. Okay, Alan asked, can you have inventory across multiple warehouse cool stores and have that stock identified by multiple sites? Will, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah. So right now we've got that functionality through being able to have, I suppose, different dashboards set up. So I assume those different warehouses will receive stock differently and also sell to different customers. And so we've got this ability to move between different warehouses or different customer groups through a drop down here. So that's how we'd work if you've got multiple warehouses.
Thanks, Will. Kate asked, next question, can you set the system so your stock goes into so your stock can't go negative?
Do you want to answer that one, Nick? Or
you go. That's all right.
All right. It's a great question. Right now, that is something that we can't do. It's definitely something that we want to look into in the future. But right now, I suppose like the thing that we've heard is that you want to be able to stop your customers from ordering once it reaches a certain number. And so, yeah, that's definitely feedback that we've heard as we've been building it out. This is the first iteration of it, so it doesn't have that yet. But I think it's definitely something that's coming up. So thank you very much for talking to that.
Thanks, Kate. Good question. Another good question from Pete is, what form does it send off your orders to when you hit checkout? Is this email or text? That is a PDF email attachment which will go to your suppliers, Pete. So that's currently how it works. Next question, Johan. Looks great. How would you be able to implement best before dates on inventory stock management? It's another good question. Thanks, Johan. I'll let you talk to that.
Yep. So yeah, best before dates, and I suppose batch tracking is again something that we've heard some feedback on. We haven't got round to building that out yet, but that is again something that we want to investigate into the future. But being its first version, we don't have that functionality at the moment.
Yeah, and James has asked a very similar question about the ability to track batches and best before dates. So, Will, I think you've answered that there. Mindy has asked, if a purchase order is not placed through Fresho, i.e. via phone or supplier's website, can we still record the purchase order? And the answer is yes, we can. There's you can upload that order into the system and reconcile the order so that it records in Fresho, and then it is set up for tracking the purchase, whatever that may be, and maps it through. So it does not need to be purchased in Fresho. Or sorry, rather that order placed through Fresho. Ashley has asked, how do we change the delivery address for our customers? Of our customers.
So I suppose this is I think we might need to clarify some more there, Ashley. Are you talking about when you're selling, how do you update the delivery address? I might leave that to separate, because it's at least that my understanding of that question might sort of take us onto more of the selling. How do we sell on Fresho? But we'll be able to get back to you on that, and we'll be in contact after the session.
Ashley's just said that yes, it is for the selling account.
Yeah. I can go into that, but we'll get in contact with you after the session just to stick on the inventory side of things.
Yeah. Can you add, from James, can you add bin locations to the products?
I don't exactly know exactly what you're referring to with bin locations. I assume you're talking about product groups. So this is like sections of your warehouse, and so yeah, you can right across all our screens, we show you a product group and then products within that product group. So right across inventory, you can see different product groups there, and being able to sort, I suppose, or group your products however you need.
Thanks, Will. These are all great questions, by the way, and it's important for us to hear your feedback. So thank you. Johan has asked, is there a function that could let customers know when the stock is due back in?
Yeah, that's great feedback. Right now, as I said, we don't have the ability to show a stock amount or restrict customers based on making sure it doesn't go below zero stock. But we'll take that feedback on board when we go to build a feature like that, looking into the future.
Yeah. We might just have a couple more questions because we are getting close to time. Mindy's just asked similar question to James re the bins. Can you track the product batches, delivery vehicles, and dispatch time? So, yeah, I think we kind of covered that before, Will, in terms of batches. But yeah, the bins, yes, by location, by group, as Will mentioned before. But the batches, yeah, that's work that we'll look at doing down the track. But certainly, we've had that feedback. Delivery vehicles and dispatch time, not as yet, Will.
Yeah.
Unless...
We do have a deliveries area in our within our selling, so that you can control a bit of your delivery vehicles and be able to manage that. But it sounds like we might need to give you a bit more of a demo, Mindy, on our sell side to go through some of those questions.
Yeah,
just
I'd probably
time.
Probably good just to clarify. I'm presuming there, Mindy, that you're talking about delivery vehicles for your dispatch, not the supplier's dispatch. But yeah, as Will said, we can go further into that. And I think we'll just run with the last question here from Ben. Are you able to see what a particular customer has purchased previously for a set time period? Customer A purchased XYZ over 1 June to 30 June 24, allowing us to see the trends.
Yeah. I'm happy to take this one on. So, yes, you can do that. So that's what we were talking about with data mode before. So I'm doing a sales by day. I don't have too much data in this account yet, but I can go in, see who's like which customers have ordered. I can drill down into a certain customer through our data mode, and then I can start doing sales by day. And again, we've got data mode around purchases, so you're able to see your purchases. You're able to see a sales variance by customer as well. So you're able to see across different date ranges how that customer performs, to see if they're dropping off or reducing their spend or even increasing their spend.
Right. Okay, folks, thanks so much for being here. We've just hit time, so we really appreciate your time jumping on and having a look. As we said before, if there are questions following this, just get in touch with us and we'll be only too happy to walk you through in more detail. We can go from there. But thanks, everyone, for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you, seeing you soon.
Yes, thanks, everyone. Appreciate you joining.